There's a lot of criticism amongst the Linux community of launch speeds of the universal package formats, including Snappak and Flatpak, versus their native package counterparts. So I thought I would do a quick test to see whether or not that criticism is actually warranted. See if there's any sort of real-world discernible difference between the native package formats versus the universal package formats in terms of launch times. So this won't be a scientific test because I'm just looking at real-world performance. So I went ahead and loaded up 3 virtual machines using PopOS 20.04. And those were all installed and recently updated. I installed Firefox and LibreOffice using each of those applicable formats, as well as the Snap and Debian versions of the Chromium application, as there was not a Flatpak version available. Now, none of these have been previously launched, so we'll see the initial launch speed after install, as well as the length of time it takes to do a subsequent launch. So here we go. So here's the virtual machine running the Debian package versions of these applications. So let's begin with Firefox. This is the initial launch time of the Firefox application. And the subsequent launch. And next we'll run the initial launch of Chromium. And the subsequent launch. And finally, the initial launch of LibreOffice Writer. And the subsequent launch of LibreOffice Writer. So now that we have a baseline to compare our universal package formats against, let's go ahead and move on to the Snappak versions. So beginning with the Firefox Snap application. So you can see that one definitely took longer than the Debian version, but it wasn't too terribly long. Let's see how it launches on the subsequent launch. As expected, that was much faster. Next on to Chromium, the initial launch speed. That was surprisingly quick, actually quite a bit quicker than Firefox. And on the subsequent launch of the Chromium Snap, that was very quick. And last, we'll take a look at LibreOffice Writer. Again, this is the Snap version. That was pretty quick. And let's take a look at the subsequent launch of LibreOffice Writer. And that was very quick. Finally, let's take a look at the Flatpak versions. So starting with the Firefox Flatpak, let's go ahead and take a look at the initial launch speed. That was pretty fast. And the subsequent launch speed, it's pretty quick. And we'll take a look at LibreOffice since Chromium is not available in a Flatpak. Opening up LibreOffice Writer. So it was very fast. And subsequent launch time, again, very quick. I would say that the Flatpak seemed a little bit faster than the Snap. They're all three very fast. Debian version, the native version, was obviously the quickest. But these Flatpak versions were also very fast. So in conclusion, I think all three perform very well. The Debian version, which is the native format, obviously launched the fastest. And it seemed like the Flatpak version was only slightly slower than the Debian version. And the Snappak version did seem the slowest, although the performance still seemed quite good for being a universal application. So I certainly wouldn't have any hesitation about using any of the three formats.